Welcome to the Motivation Without the Hype podcast with your host, Gez Perez. He's an author, high-performance coach, and motivational speaker. This show brings you inspiring messages and interviews to unleash your greatness in life and in business. So let's get started.
Hi everyone, welcome to Motivation Without the Hype podcast show. My name is Gez Perez, a former procrastinator into an action taker. We bring you inspirational messages and interviews, including motivational insights, tips, principles, and proven strategies that you can take action on without the hype and unleashing your greatness in life and in business. Now, we appreciate you plugging in and spending time with us. And we have a very special guest, and I'm super grateful to have him on our show. His name is John Papaloni. He is a serial entrepreneur from bust to an 8-figure business and repeat. And he's gone through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship and has created several businesses. Some were sold to other entrepreneurs, some were just closed. Now he's currently the CEO of Papaloni Media and Papaloni Capital with active realtor's license. He uses his realtor's license for his own acquisitions in helping other aspiring entrepreneurs as well with real estate agents to build systems and platforms to get them to the next level. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, please tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I mean, you started off so well there with that. I don't know if I can top that one. Basically, as you said, you know, I've had multiple businesses. I've done quite a bit, out there, anywhere from, I started off as a DJ business to, what you said now with my investment business, my real estate license, as well as a media company. Now, the up and down, as I mentioned, right, there's been times where I had more money than I can count. And then there was other times that, on the verge of bankruptcy, and then back and forth. And you know what? Everyone when they get into business, they all think it's straight line up. They don't realize it's a wave, right? So it's one of those things that there's a lot of learning lessons there. And, I'm grateful for the lessons I have because I am who I am because of that. So with that being said, Papaloni Media, what it is a content media site. I'm in the process of redeveloping it, but I'll help other people, like you said, build strategies and structure for their business. I help them with content creation, podcasting as well, social media management, and, as a general site where anybody looking to figure out what's going on in the Ontario thing can get all the news updates and all that, what's going on. I'll have guest contributors, writing stuff there as well as publishing other people's podcasts there as well. So wealth of information, wealth of knowledge available on that site. And then I have my Papaloni Capital, which is really designated to support my real estate business. And the whole intent of that is that the way the market is right now, especially the changing market, not everyone will qualify to purchase a home. So some people want to be actively involved in the real estate market, but don't have the means to get the funding. So what ends up happening is, say you have $100,000. What happens is $100,000 is a great down payment, but today you're only going to qualify for a home that worth about $450,000. Now in the Toronto market, $450,000 doesn't even get you a condo, let alone a house. So what ended up happening is you can pool your money and joint venture through my business and get in a project that I'm buying through Papaloni Capital. You put your $100,000 in, and your percentage of what you put in is what you get into the project. So what ends up happening is now I'll buy a multi-residential project. We'll say I'll use a 48-story building or 48-unit building, and that'll go for about roughly, we'll say $15 million. So, and the down payment on a $15 million is about $3.5 million down, $4 million. So we'll say there's a $10 million mortgage, right? That's about, in today's interest rate, that's about $42,500 a month, right? So the amount of rents we can collect on the 48 units roughly equates to about $55,000. That gives you about a $12,500 a month cash flow. Now we're going to say out of that, maybe we'll take $4,000 for expenses. So that leaves $8,000 cash flow. That's $100,000 of income. Now divided by, just say we take on 20 people, that 8,000 divided by 20 people, that's about $400 a month in cash flow for every individual. So 400 over, and it gets paid every 90 days. So every 90 days, they'll get a $1,200 check from me. Then what ends up happening at that point in time, we'll say we'll keep the property for about 10 years. And then after 10 years, we'll sell it. Now that $15 million property, after 10 years, well, natural real estate it doubles every 10 years. So it was 15 million, more than likely it'll be 30 million. But let's be modest and just say we have some bad times and it only reaches 22. But then that's already a third. So that's a 33% increase. So not only did your $100,000 give you cash flow every month, so that's $4,800 a year, 10 years, that's 48,000. Plus now it's worth a third more. You're going to get back, so that's what, 33,000. So you basically double your money roughly every 10 years.
Wow. So how did you get into the real estate game? Like what spurred you to get this passion out of, in the property industry? What really got you into this type of development or Papaloni capital? Like how did it get started?
Well, what ends up happening is that, like I said, I've had many businesses and didn't know what I really wanted to do. My parents got sick, so I stayed home and I went for a few years without working at all after I sold my last company. Like I sold the company and then just took the time off. Then I started thinking about, now it's time to get back in the market. What am I going to do? Well, my parents were landlords, so I decided that, let's get into the real estate business. So that's why I got my real estate license and I started selling homes. But it comes to a certain point, you've seen so many homes, you've been in and out of the homes and you're seeing things that don't excite you anymore. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a real estate agent that goes online and does videos telling people not to buy single family homes. Right? But then what are most people looking for? Because they don't know. I don't think they're educated, right? In reality, is everyone says, I'm going to buy my house because it's an investment. No, it's not. It's an expense. Anything that costs you money is an expense, right? And when you live in a home, you pay property taxes, you pay your mortgage, you pay your interest on your mortgage. Now, forget the mortgage cost because you have to pay for it. So if you don't have it, you're buying it on loan, whatever. But the interest is costing you money. The utilities are costing you money. And what are you getting back for it? Nothing, just repair bills, right? Now, you build equity. I'm not going to deny that. And if the choice is buy a place to live in or keep renting, buy the place to live in. But if you want to look at an investment property, go in and rent something. Go rent somewhere where you live. Rent at something cheap, like $1,000 a month, and then buy a property that you can earn $2,000 a month on. So what ends up happening is you're ahead of the game because your equity is building and you're getting cash flow back. But again, that's not an opportunity for everybody. And I don't like one door because just say that one person stops paying rent. Now you're paying bills and collecting $0 from it, which is why I like the multi-residential because look, I'm not a fan of a duplex because that's only 2. I prefer nothing less than 6 doors because the odds, I'm just going percentage wise, the odds of all 6 people not paying you is very slim. More than likely, you'll have 5 people paying rent and 1 person will be in and out. So with that number, you're still paying your bills. You're still delivering some little bit of cash flow. Maybe not a lot, but you got a bit of a buffer. So that's why I like that. Now, I'm not a fool to believe that everybody's just going to go get their job, make their 70 grand a year and get the financing for a 6-plex on the very first purchase. So for the lack of better example, get in the market any way you can, but don't look to stay in the market with a single family home. Look to upgrade, go from a single family to a duplex, to a 4-plex, to a 6-plex and vice versa.
Yeah. So has there been a shift in terms of property investment nowadays? Now that, the market has changed, there's a lot of, outside noises about the property markets, people that want to get into the game, what is the first step for them? Or where do you see, property investors now in today's property market? Do they need to diversify now? Do they need to find different options? What do you see in today's market?
Well, this is the thing, right? And this is what it comes down to, right? Like everyone can choose to find opportunities or they can choose to follow the fear mongering. Right now the deals are going to be there. And look, I'm going to give you another example. About 6 months ago, before all these interest rate hikes and everything else that's been going on, everybody turned around and says, okay, I'm going to overpay. I don't want to get ripped off. Those are the common things, right? But look, here, when you're buying a home for $800,000 at 3.1%, that equates to I'm not sure what the number is, $800,000 home, 3.1% with I think I did it something like $800,000 loan at 3.1%. I think it was $3,056. Now, what ends up happening is today, that price, that $800,000 home is only going to be about $500,000. So a $500,000 mortgage today at the 5.5% or 5.1%, whatever it is, worked out to be $3,080. So there's not much, right? The difference is you're getting the home. So I always say this. Yes, you're paying more before, but you're choosing who you're paying. Now, before when you bought the house at $800,000, you helped that homeowner get his $800,000. You got the extra money to the homeowner. Now you're not paying it on the front end, you're paying it on the back end, and you're giving it to the bank. So either way, you're paying it. So do you think you would have made more money starting 3 years ago or today? Right? Either way, we just established we're going to pay the same. It's just who you're paying. So, and that's my point. And again, too many people want to make a quick buck and they're looking for that silver bullet, and that doesn't exist. Realistic, like if you're looking to buy something and you want to flip it in a year or two, bad market, don't do it. Right? Now, real estate is a long term. Look at it between a minimum of 5 years. I would suggest look at 10 years. And if you can't do 10 years, aim for 7. 7 seems to be that little, like that margin. Right? So the real big profits come between 7 to 10 years, but that margin of worthiness seems to be around the 7 mark.
Wow. How do you stay patient? I mean, like it's spot on, because a lot of people like to have this quick gratification or like a quick buck. But for those who are still, entering or still in the market, but losing their patience, how do you stay patient? Or how do you tell people to stay patient and say, hold on to it, it's coming? How do you share that? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
That's the most difficult part, right? And that's why most people don't win. And what it comes down to is it's discipline. And you can't start off and go and buy a home, take on an $800,000 loan and decide you're going to be patient today. Start with small increments, right? So like little by little, we have these, we have these things here called iPhones, right?
Yep.
New one comes out. You're desperate. You want to get it. Anxious. Ooh, got to beat my friends. Start off by that. Let all your friends get it. Wait 6 months. If you can do that, the next thing, wait a year. And you start building the concept of waiting for those deals and waiting for that, and you build up patience that way. It's slowly but surely, right?
Wow. You've gone through a massive journey, and hearing your insights has been really key to your success. What are the major lessons that you've learned besides patience? What type of skill sets have you brought into your game? And how do you find your strides through that? So what's the most important lessons that you've learned along the way?
Well, my most important lessons is going to be to, one, realize that collaboration is the best way to grow. I mean, we all go through life thinking about our competition. But trust me when I say this, your competition, at least the successful ones, are not thinking about you. It's good to know what's going on in your market.
Yeah.
But don't overemphasize, or put too much effort into it. Right? Like figure out, know what's going on in the market, have your own game plan, have your own combative plan, and just get out in the market and then worry about things as they come along. If you're sitting there worried about your competition, you're not focused on what you're doing. Now, another thing I learned with that is look at real estate. When I got into the business, I noticed something different. When I got in as an agent, people didn't see me as a competitor, even though there were agents too. Not right away. People were helpful. They wanted to help you and bring you up and lift you up. When you start to become a serious player, then they start going, whoa, okay, now he's my competition. But I learned by collaborating with other people, because we're going to work on different fields. We're going to work in different markets. Everyone is different, and you're not going to have the same 2 people. Look at life in the form of abundance. And the more you think of it as abundance, you'll find your tribe. You'll find your people. Like, look, yesterday on my podcast, I was interviewing another real estate agent. Wasn't even in the same brokerage, let alone, like, why would I do that? Because I don't believe in competition. What does he focus on? He focuses on selling to small families, families starting out. I sell based on investment real estate, right? I look for investors, not for the small families. So although we may crisscross a little bit here and there, our target markets are different. So we're really not going to bump into each other. But if we work together and help each other, our word goes further. Our brand gets bigger. And then therefore, I refer to him, he refers to me. Somebody else refers to me, I refer to somebody else. And you start building a bigger network, build a bigger tribe. And who's to say that all the guys, you know what? Hey, I have a client. He can't buy. He can't get the approval right now, but he doesn't want to leave his money in the bank and he's scared to put it in the stocks, which I wouldn't blame him. We want to invest with Papaloni Capital. Can we do that while we were trying to build up a bigger down payment? 100%. If I thought of that guy's my competition and my enemy, would he ever take that opportunity?
Of course not. Yeah, that's right.
Right? You build things better as a tribe by working together than to try to work against each other. That's the biggest message.
Wow. Collaboration trumps competition, and it's great to have that perspective. You probably are in the same industry, but the niche as well as the target market is quite different. But the leverage that you have with each other expands your influences, and that's really important. I think for anyone that's either in property or in business, is your biggest competition is yourself. It's always constantly growing, it's adapting, it's being flexible, but at the same token, you're improving your processes, your business, people, and technology. And if you see in that lens, then you continue to progress and have that pace moving forward. And that's awesome. So I know that you not only have your own businesses, but you also help other aspiring agents as well and entrepreneurs. So what would be, some 3 key things or areas that you normally share with them that's particularly in this type of industry?
Actually, I'm going to give you a general thing right now that I've been thinking about from what we were just talking as a piece of advice. And I think this applies to regardless, agent or no agent. It's one thing I learned is that, everyone talks about good debt, bad debt, don't have debt. Everyone has different versions, right?
Rich dad, poor dad?
Yeah, really. Yeah. Like some people look at it as, the whole Dave Ramsey, don't borrow. And here's what it comes down to. Don't borrow to buy consumer products. Live on cash, whether it's debit card or cash, doesn't matter. Do not use your credit card for consumer products because that brings no value. Anything that doesn't bring a return, only buy when you have it in cash. Everything that has a return, you're welcome to use credit on. And that's the way I look at it. Like real estate investing has a return. You're not gonna have $1 million in cash to buy a house. So we know you're gonna need debt to get that. That's acceptable debt because that has money coming back. Buying a new car is a depreciating asset. Don't do it. Buy a cheaper car, buy it in cash. Don't bother with the monthly payments. That leaves you with leverage because you have cash in the bank and you have cash flow coming in without any requirements of it going out. Gives you the position of power.
So are you saying those who are listening and watching the podcast show that this is kind of like new to them, or, they're sometimes could be compulsive buyers, but living on debt and credit? What would be for them to start tackling now? Do they need to start tackling all the bad credits first to pay that down as much as possible? In fact, to be completely debt free in the credit card game. And
Absolutely.
how do you diversify in savings? I mean, like, is it one way of saving or are there multiple ways of savings? Because it's also a mindset shift. So how do you
100%.
start with the small habits first?
Well, this is the thing, right? Here's what it comes down to. There's no point in saving anything if you have debt, because all your money is going to interest and you're going to pay things 2-3 times by the time you pay it off. You have no savings when you owe money. It starts off with cut your vacations off, get rid of all the unnecessary things. If you haven't used something in a year, and I'm giving you a year, I did 90 days when I went into that journey. Anything I didn't use for 90 days, I sold it off, and what I couldn't sell off, I cleared it out. I paid no extra storage. I got rid of everything. Now, a lot of people say get rid of the high interest debts first, but do you know how hard that is? Because what ends up happening is usually the high interest debts are usually the highest, owed balances as well. Because believe me, when you tend to go into trouble, you go where your biggest amount is, and that's usually where the highest interest is. Right? So that'll take forever. And like, for example, if you owe 20 grand on a credit card and your payment is $200 a month, you're going to be in debt for like years.
Gazillion years.
It's going to hurt, right?
Yeah.
So you're better off to take that $1,000 credit card, pay your minimum balance on the $20,000 card, just so you don't get bad credit, you don't ruin your credit, and then put the extra cash that you would have put on there onto the $1,000 debt, because that'll get paid off real quick. And every time you pay something off, you get that dopamine rush that makes you excited and feel refueled. And you just keep doing that until you knock it all off. And that's the best way to do it. And then you just keep knocking off one by one. You got to sacrifice. You're better off to go a year or 2 years without any kind of luxuries, no vacations, no extra spending. Don't eat out. Don't bother eating out. You want to go out, go for a coffee because it's cheap. I mean, hey, I'll even say go to Starbucks for $5, even though I don't, if you have debt, you shouldn't be spending $5 on a coffee. But you know what? Again, someone's going to say, well, you have to have some luxuries. Well, there's your luxury. If you want out, that's what you got to do. If you don't want out and you like living in debt and you don't care that you're always behind, keep doing what you're doing. Just don't complain about it.
Right. Now, these are, may sound, simple for others. For them, it might sound like this is amazing. When someone completely finishes all their debts, what should be their next goal? Should it be in property? Should it be in stocks? Or should it be something that you've just said, which is quite key, is something that's going to give you value in return?
Right. Now, here's the thing. Exactly. The next thing you should do. Now, it also depends on where you live. If you live in Canada, I'm going to give you the advice for Canada, and I'm going to give you advice for outside of Canada. Advice in Canada would be invest into RSPs up to about $35,000. So every time you get a check, take a percentage of that check, whether it's 10 or 15%, put it towards an RSP. Because when you hit up to $35,000, you're allowed to use that $35,000 towards a down payment on real estate. Right? So why not take the tax reduction benefits? Because the RSPs give you a tax reduction on your taxes. So you get money back every year when you use that. So you're getting the money back every single year that you put in. And then on top of that, up to $35,000, you can use that towards your down payment. So RSP, maximum $35,000. Then we have something called a tax-free savings account. Then once you're done with the RSPs, go to the tax-free savings account. When you have your 20% down or 10% down or whatever, at that point in time, use the money to go and secure a piece of real estate. That is Canada, right? That is easy. Outside of Canada, I don't know what you guys have. I don't know your investment things, but the moral of the story is put it somewhere that you're not going to spend it. I would have it somewhere that's not easily accessible because it's too tempting. You hit 35 grand, 40 grand, and all of a sudden,
you look at it.
I can get a car. I was going to go out and buy a Ford or whatever, but you know what? I can get up to 30 grand loan, and with the 40 grand I saved, now I can afford my Corvette or my BMW or whatever. Next thing you know, you're back into the hole, and it's so tempting. But if you have it somewhere that's so hard to get to, it has to be intentional. And if it's intentional, you're going to follow your dream, you're going to follow your goal, and you're going to get into real estate investment because it's going to be too hard to get it out for an impulse purchase.
Right. So, man, this is awesome. So many questions I want to ask. But with people that you coach and help mentor aspiring agents, do you also ask them to also be property investors themselves as well? Eventually.
If you can't support yourself, how can you support your property?
Right.
Right? Like it's the same thing. It's qualification, and the last thing you want to do is be desperate. At the same time, how can you tell somebody to buy something and invest with me, but I don't do it myself?
Yeah.
Right. So there's got to be that balance. So yes, always save away. Again, a magic formula, 10 to 15% of your pay always goes away towards your down payment. And then, at the same time, invest in yourself. Look, the number one investment is invest in yourself. And when you're getting coaching, or you're going to school, or you're going to some form of course or anything, or seminar, conference, whichever, take your notes, write them down, create your plan. You're investing in yourself, you're learning. So every time you're learning, even by listening to the podcast, you're learning, right? So invest in yourself first and do everything else second. I should have said that in the beginning. Now, once you invest in yourself and you have a platform of what you're doing for yourself, then you can build outwards.
So how would you build outwards knowing that you've got everything in your disposal of learnings and experiences? How would you start? Because I know that with different agents or, whether in sales, it's about building your brand, but also getting out into the market. Now, you mentioned about collaboration and networking with other people. Are there any other ways and means to start, going out there with influence and start making things happen to get the result you need? Because, what you put in is what you're going to get. So if you put as much as resources and everything, do you utilize, platforms or automation tools or any of that nature to help scale your business? Or do you go through offline and online type of marketing strategies?
Well, here's the thing, right? When you're, as an agent, we're in a relationship business. And I will argue that almost every business is in a relationship business. And, and the more you know, the more you're worth. The more you know, the more you grow. You are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with, right? We've all heard that stuff. And it is actually really true. So you want to get out there and grow your relationships and build your brand. So you start by building your brand. Well, use social media. Whatever you do, it's got to be little small things, day by day, every day, consistently, becomes one big thing over a period of time. So what you do is you build your brand online. I mean, first of all, you got to know what you stand for. You got to know what your beliefs are. And at that point in time, all you need is to be out there every day. I post something on every platform at least once a day, every single day. Over a long period of time, people get to know you by seeing you. Form relationships with people. Social media isn't just about posting. Reach out to people, send messages, have conversation. When you're having that conversation, don't make it about selling something. Don't turn around and say, hey, I'm a realtor, I can help you. Well, in Ontario, there's 92,000 people that are realtors. So there's 91,999 other people that can help me too. So why are you bothering me, right?
So true. Yeah, exactly right.
Right? It comes down to what people want to deal with, people they know, like, and trust. So you do that by building relationships, and social media makes it. Look, 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, if I wanted to talk to you, we wouldn't be here talking that way. I'd have to take a plane down, find your phone number or something. We'd have to meet somewhere to have this conversation.
Exactly right.
Right? Today we're on the internet having a conversation on the other side of the world.
The world, exactly. Loving it.
Right? So this is still a form of networking. You now know me and know what I'm about, and I know you and what you're about. Should you come to Toronto and you want to buy a piece of property, I'm quite confident we'll have a conversation.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
And
and you're building relationship. And how do you do that? Through the internet. You meet people. You don't have to be in front of people all the time. You can be through social. People will comment, right? And when they comment on your post, reply. Somebody likes your post. Don't just say, oh, well, they liked it. Good for them. Message them saying, hey, I noticed you saw my post today and you liked it. Thank you for the support. I just want to reach out and say hello. Notice there's no sales pitch there, but I just opened the line of conversation. Now, some people will just double tap with the heart and they'll never reply and they just don't want to talk, and that's okay. And then there's going to be other people that'll start conversation. And little by little, every day, you're adding 3 to 4 to 5 people on your database by doing that. And then you take that database, put them into your emails, and you send them a newsletter every month. Now they see another touch point because every month they see your newsletter. And that newsletter is not going to have any sales pitch. I don't have call to actions on my stuff. Not one. You'll never see me or hear me say, hey, if you like this property, give me a call and I can show it to you. You'll never see that. You'll never see that. You'll never see me call. In fact, to be honest, most times I don't even put my phone number on there. Right? So you'll get my information. It'll be just information. You want to reach out to me? Hey, first of all, if you got it in my email, you're going to see that you had it in the email. You'll reply. If you saw it online, What do I need to tell you to call me? You'll inbox me, or you'll look at my profile, which has my phone number, and call me. I don't need to tell you to call me. It's just when you start saying call me, message me, you either sound desperate or it sounds sales pitchy, and that right away gets people going, whoa, right? So just by engagement, conversation, and constant touch points, you become top of mind. And when you're on top of mind, you're the person they think of when they need that service.
I love that. And these are key actionable steps, and to always constantly show up. And I think that's how you can level up. Is people tend to think, well, I just need a magic formula. Just give me X, Y, and Z, and then I'm leveling up. But these important elements, compounded over time, it's that progressive steps with pace. And you just sharing those key insights will help you actually level up to the next level, whether it's in property or not, in different type of industries, in different marketplaces, by showing up, engagement, making that intention that you're not there to sell, but to build relationship. And I like how, and I'm going back to all these previous conversations and sentences that we've gone through, is it's all about, building relationships. It's that solid core relationship, because once you build that formal relationship, then you're in front of mind and you're able to scale up in that way. Because again, it's not just a short-term thing. In any industry, whether it's in property or in coaching or any type of business, it's all about that long-term gain.
Exactly.
Short-term, which is, man, loving it. So like, John, I always ask this question to every guest that's on the show. What is your meaning of motivation without the hype? And how do you use motivation for your personal success?
Well, to be honest, I'm naturally motivated, right? Like, it's one of those things that determination equates to my motivation. And when I have something set in my mind, I'm very determined. And depending on how close I am, there are certain times I don't even sleep until I get it, right? Like the hardest part for me is being 2 days away. I won't sleep those 2 days, right? Because I'm just so determined. And you know what? It starts off by those little wins. If I always went after the big thing and I didn't celebrate my little wins, I would have never learned that. It's by celebrating those little wins, you always feel the sense of accomplishment. And when you feel that sense of accomplishment, you're going for that next one, and that next one, and that next one. And that comes in little by little. And persistence and determination is what gets me there. And because I've had that in my past, I chase it every day.
Love it. Guys, you've got to chase it every single day. You got to do something that lights you up. And I love that, whether there's, people who are self-motivated or not, it's that determination, that discipline, that focus, and something that actually lights you up. Man, John, thank you so much for adding.
Actually, want to add
go,
one
please.
more thing.
Yes,
if you
please
don't
go
mind.
for it. Come on. Let's go.
What I want to say is that it's not going to be a win every single day. You're allowed to have hard days. So if you have a really hard day and you're struggling, take that one day, just stop everything. Take that one day to settle. Wake up the next day. That was your one day. Next 30 days, you're not allowed to have another one day. Just keep going.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in that. It's inevitable to have challenges and setbacks, but those setbacks is always a comeback for you to be refreshed, to say, yep, I acknowledge this. Yep, I am having a bad day, but that's all right. There's always going to be a new day. There's always going to be a new opportunity. There's always going to be a new thing. And it's just, again, flipping that switch. Yep, I've gone through it. I'm ready to go. And I love it. Yeah. So wins, small wins, and then, bigger wins after that. It's amazing. Like, wow. I'm actually blown away. There's so many questions I want to ask. But you know what? We got to get you back onto the show, tailoring on the property industry. Man,
100%.
This is amazing. It's such a privilege, John, to have you, and an honor to have you as well. So I really value you, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Guys, for more information, how you can actually get in touch with John, there's no call outs here like he just mentioned, but we do have links there. He's very active in social media, particularly Instagram. There's so many golden nuggets there. I am blown away with his quality of work, what he does to add value into the lives of others. So please sure to connect with him and follow him as soon as possible, even by listening, watching to this podcast show. It's been such a pleasure to have him on the Motivation Without the Hype show. So if this episode has been helpful and uplifting, we would love for you to write a review to inspire more listeners to get plugged in. We will continue to provide high value content in each and every episode. If you don't mind sharing this podcast show on social media by inviting others, it would mean the world to me. Every time you tag me, we will get the opportunity to share those posts, and together we can make a difference in the lives of others through inspiration episodes just like this. So there you have it. In closing, continue to unleash your greatness and tell yourself that I can, I will, and I must, and we'll see you on the next episode.